Hey there. So in this video, we want to take a look at adding a GPU worker node to an Red Hat OpenShift cluster that's running on the IBM Cloud. So let's get started. As you can see here on my screen, I've got a OpenShift cluster running with two worker nodes. So if I click over to worker nodes, you can see these are just small 8x32 worker nodes. They do not have GPU capabilities on these worker nodes, so I do want to add that capability. In order to do so, I need to create another worker pool. So you can see here I've got my default worker pool that makes up those other two nodes that we saw, and those are the 8x32s. So we're going to go into adding another worker pool to this cluster. So I'll click add, and we'll just go up here and name it GPU worker pool. As you saw previously also, those worker nodes were only in a single zone. It's a very small OpenShift cluster that's not spanning across the availability zones. And in this instance, I'm only going to deploy one GPU node. So I only need to scale down to that single node or single zone that the cluster is running in. I would have the capability of actually being able to span across multiple if needed, but in this scenario, we just want to spin up one single GPU worker. So I'm going to scale this one down to worker nodes per zone to just a single worker node. This is also showing the profile, so we need to go and see what availability there is for the GPU within this, this region. So we can click over here to change the flavor of this worker pool. I'll go ahead and select GPU because I want this to be a GPU. So it filters down to the available GPU options I have within this region for the OpenShift cluster. And so we've got a few options here. I actually want this L40S GPU card. I don't need two of them, so I'm just going to use this single one. So I'm going to select the 24x120 here with the L40S. So we'll select that. And then we can go down. I'm not going to select the worker pool encryption on this one today. And then again, we're also utilizing our entitlement because we will be installing some IBM software on this cluster later on. If we needed to purchase additional licenses for this worker pool or these instances that get deployed in this worker pool, we can select that option, and you can see it's going to add that OpenShift license, so you don't have to have that license already. You just utilize the capability of being able to pay at an hourly rate rather than the subscription that you would have before and bring your own. So we're going to go back to apply my entitlement because we're going to be leveraging that, and then we're going to go and hit create. So this is going to go off and add a secondary worker pool to that OpenShift cluster, and then also provision the worker node itself into it. So we can see here it's added it to this. It's created the worker pool. The declared workers is one. So we can click over to worker nodes and we can see this is going into a provisioning status. So this should come up fairly shortly. We'll get that worker node added to the cluster. So we'll take a look at that once it's complete. Okay, so we've got our GPU worker node now added to our Kubernetes cluster or OpenShift cluster. That was about, I'd say, just under 10 minutes to add that GPU worker pool, and then also the worker node itself to the cluster. So what we can do is we can go into the OpenShift web console and take a look. We've got our compute. We can go down to the nodes here, and now we've got 3 worker nodes added to this cluster, and you can see we've got the instance type with the L40S there. One thing, if we jump into the details, it's showing all the labels and everything. Kubernetes yet does not know that this is an NVIDIA GPU added to the cluster. So one of the things that we could do is we could go into the operator hub and actually search for the, if I spell it right, NVIDIA GPU operator, and go here and install that operator, and then it'll pick up the NVIDIA drivers and everything for this instance to add the capabilities for our applications to start leveraging the GPU. And you would just go through here and hit install, and in a matter of a few minutes you would have that operator installed. I'm actually not going to go through this process because within the IBM Cloud we have add-on capabilities to do some other things. I'm actually going to do an add-on for the OpenShift AI feature, which will automatically apply the operators that I need during that process. So I'm going to go ahead and let it handle that. In another video we'll go through that process. So I'm going to go back over to the worker nodes here within the IBM Cloud and go back over to worker pools. And one of the cool things is when you saw me provisioning this, you know, there was a pretty good expense to the worker node that I'm having to spin up, and I don't plan on using this GPU worker node anytime soon. So I'd really like to kind of like pause the billing on that. So within this worker pool, I can actually go over and hit resize, and I can scale that worker pool down to 0. So this is awesome because it'll allow me to keep this profile here. So whenever I need to spin it up, or maybe even spin up a few more, I can go in and say, yeah, go ahead and give me 3 of these GPUs. I'm going to use them, and then when I'm done, I could scale it back down to 0. So we're going to go ahead and resize that down to 0, and it's just wanting some confirmation because I am making some changes here. So I'm going to type in 1 for the resize. I'm going to go ahead and click resize. So I'm going to go ahead and give that GPU back to the IBM Cloud, since I'm not going to need it for a little bit of time. But I'm going to keep the profile there, or the worker pool there, and then spin it back up when I need it in a future video. So that's all I wanted to cover here. So thanks for watching.